Hello, it's Reija and welcome to another video. Today I am going to be sharing with you my January reading wrap-up. And it was a very different kind of reading month for me in January because I got hooked into the world of Webtoon. So in January, instead of reading books, I was reading a lot of Webtoons. Webtoon, if you are not familiar, is an app and also a website dedicated to these sort of interactive webcomics. They're basically like an endless scroll loop of a comic book, and they're basically episodic, and they follow a continuous narrative structure, but they're sort of like built as episodes instead of chapters, and they're kind of like scrollable. The way the comic format works is that instead of being laid out as a single page, the action is sort of like in a continuous scroll format, and you can have things like animated GIFs or music, background music, to sort of enhance the reading experience. But generally speaking, it's like a web comic with a specific type of formatting. And Lore Olympus is a good example of something that started out as a web comic and then sort of transitioned into a graphic novel when it was published in print. And yeah, I basically got hooked into Webtoons this month. I have been following a couple different Webtoons earlier. For example, True Beauty by Yoongi is something that I have been reading on and off for like a couple of years now. And this month I basically just caught up with it. I read like 20 or so episodes of it. And it's basically about this girl who likes horror and is sort of like a huge nerd, like for horror and thrillers and stuff like that. And she gets like severely bullied at school to the point where she sort of develops like facial dysmorphia and starts to like cover her insecurities with makeup to the point where she can't go anywhere without makeup. And she kind of hides her true identity of this nerdy persona behind this glamorous influencer facade. And it's all about her adventures and her love life, and it deals a lot with like social media influencer, like that sort of culture, and also like K-pop idol culture. And it's super dramatic and melodramatic, but also sometimes it deals with very heavy topics in a pretty good way. So it has dealt with stuff like domestic violence, stalking, bullying, as I said, and stuff. And yeah, if you can stomach like super molasses slow pacing and like these super melodramatic moments, like it is basically a soap opera, I would recommend it. I have been enjoying it. I have given it 4 stars. Like it's a pretty good story, and I have been enjoying reading it, but don't expect anything like super deep out of it. Like it is definitely something that is supposed to be just like fun and consumable. And there's also a K-drama adaptation of it. Another Korean webtoon that I have been reading is To Love Your Enemy by Jungyeon and Taegeon, and this is basically about a girl, or rather a woman who worked for a pyramid scheme company and then quit and is trying to reinvent herself, and has changed her name and basically distanced herself from her relatives who are all hustlers, and she is trying to reinvent herself and go to university to get an actual degree. And the story starts when she encounters a person from her previous life, a person of one of the victims of the pyramid scheme company that she worked for, and it is basically an enemies to lovers story. It starts out very well. I like that the main character is someone who is very confident in her own abilities and isn't like a pushover, which is something that unfortunately I especially see in a lot of like Korean dramas, and this is very much inspired by those. However, the story also goes off the rails. In the end, the story explores things like cults and stuff, which I wouldn't have expected going into it as a sort of university love story. So I gave it 3 stars. It was interesting. I finished it. It has been completed on Webtoon, so you can read the whole thing. But it definitely won't be sticking in my mind. Like, the cult aspects will probably stick in my mind because it was such a what the hell moment when those happened. So I gave this 3 stars. Then one of my favorite things that I picked up and read in January was Let's Play by Lian M. Krechik, also known as Monji, and this is a webtoon that I am obsessed with. I actually went ahead and fast passed. I paid for some coins to fast pass episodes so that I could be up to date and know what is going on, because I got so hooked in this. This is basically about this woman she's chronically ill. She is a video game developer, and the story starts when her game gets poorly reviewed by this super popular video game streamer, who is kind of like an analogy for like Markiplier and other like very popular like streamers. And what ends up happening is that the viewers of said streamer go and bomb her game page and end up getting her developer page flagged. And then this streamer ends up moving next to her, so they become these rivals. And it is all about them trying to work through this animosity they have between them, as well as kind of developing a sort of friendship. And also all of these different people, these friend groups and stuff forming and going over their various love lives and stuff. It is very interesting. It breaks the fourth wall. It plays with concepts of like storytelling and kind of inputting like meta elements in the story. But yeah, I have been really enjoying this. Like, it is something that I wait for every Tuesday when when a new episode is uploaded. I am like looking forward to where the story is going, and my ship is currently sailing, as they say, but I am also fully aware that most likely it will crash and burn before I have a terrible feeling that my ship is not endgame, and I am already mentally preparing for disappointment. But for now, I am enjoying it, and I am enjoying my ship as well. I gave it 4 stars. Then another surprise that I didn't think I would like, because I have seen many anime series with this very similar premise. This is The Lone Necromancer, that is adapted from a web novel series by JJJ, by Kim Kyung-yeol and Kim Dong-jun. And this is basically adapted from novels to a webtoon. And the art is fantastic, and the artist definitely knows how to convert the action to be like super animated and readable in that endless scroll format. It is basically about these university students who find themselves faced with the choice to choose basically a character when basically all of the world closes and there are monsters appearing, and it looks like the world is being closed off into this kind of basically a role-playing game, and it becomes a matter of who gets to survive the longest, and the main character ends up picking a necromancer for his class. And yeah, it is like, I don't want to say anymore. It is basically like the story basically riffs on various gaming tropes, role-playing tropes, Dungeons and Dragons, whatnot, and also this idea of good and evil. And yeah, I am hooked on this. This is another one of those series that I have fast passed because I just want to know what happens. So I'm not even sorry. I will fast pass every single episode that comes out. It's my Sunday treat. So I gave this one also 4 stars. Then I started Morgana and Oz by Muley. This is something that has only just started. I read 10 episodes of it, and it is... I still don't know where it is going. It is about basically this sort of battle between witches and vampires, and there's some ancient beef between this clan of witches and these vampires, and the story focuses on the daughter of the leader of the witches, who is very poor at magic, and also this sort of aloof loner vampire who is sort of like not very at home with the group of vampires. And I think that the art style was what is currently selling this story to me. I'm still not sure about all of the characters and like what the story is gonna be about. It hasn't really like progressed anywhere in these 10 episodes. There's just been sort of like this festering conflict and not really a whole lot of else. But I am interested to see where it will go, and I like the art style. This one I gave 3 stars. I am intrigued. I will continue with it, but it hasn't been like a favorite. And then finally, Let Me Love You by Ed Be, which is another 3-star webtoon, mostly because this is a romance, contemporary romance, with a trope that's not necessarily my favorite, which is fake dating. I'm not a huge fan of fake dating. I am especially not a huge fan of fake dating when the people who are in the fake dating relationship end up spilling the beans about their fake dating status to other people. So, like what's the point of your fake dating if other people already know that your whole relationship is a sham? I don't know. But I like the art style. It is like super sort of like Miami Vice pastel, like 80s sort of Polly Pocket type of thing. I really love the art style. So basically I am currently reading it for the art style. The story is kind of like but the art style is carrying it for me. So this is another 3-star webtoon for me. So those were all of the webtoons. As I said, I am obsessed currently, yeah. But I also read Far Sector, written by N.K. Jemisin and illustrated by Jamal Campbell. Totally love this. I am going to have a review of it up this week as well. I really loved the art style. It was basically like a complete bombardment of eye candy to my eyeballs. Like, it was just so pretty. The color palette, the sort of like softness, how it was so painterly and graphic. Like, this art style was so damn delicious. And I also felt that the story was really good. Like, this was a great introduction to like the whole concept of Green Lanterns. I am someone who hasn't read a ton of DC comics, and I didn't feel lost at all with this. I really liked it a lot. If you want to know more about my thoughts, wait for my review on Friday. I am going to be talking about it a bit more there, but I gave this 4 stars and I would highly recommend it. If you are someone who is like trying to get into comics and trying to get more into like graphic novels, I would recommend this. This is a very good beginner-friendly graphic novel. And then I read The Book of Dragons for my Shorts and Sorcery book club. This was the January pick, and it is an anthology all about dragon stories and stories relating to dragons in some way or form. There was also poetry in this, which was a nice surprise. And yeah, I quite liked it. It is probably one of the best anthologies I've read. I gave it 4 stars. It was... like, basically, I didn't hate a single one of the stories. Like, even the ones that did not work for me, I thought that there was merit in them, and they were pretty good, solid stories. I just wasn't a huge fan of them. I did a whole live discussion of this book with Joe from Final Blow Joe. I will leave it linked in the cards. We talked about this book for about an hour, so if you are interested to know my full in-depth thoughts about it, I would watch that live show recording. And there you have it. Those are all of the things that I read in the month of January, peeping a little bit over to February, but you know, mostly in January. And if you got this far, please leave me a spider web emoji, because, you know, webtoon and spider web, you know, web. I crack myself up. Anyway, leave me a spider web emoji if you got this far, so I know that you are here, and I will see you in another video very soon. Bye bye.